The bribery thing is really interesting. But what we can't say for sure is that Joe Biden admitted publicly on camera that he threatened to illegally withhold congressionally approved loan guarantees to Ukraine unless they fired a prosecutor. As we now know, that prosecutor was investigating Burisma. Mm-hmm. So here we are. I guess and correct me if I'm wrong, Jack, the bribery was that they went to Joe and said, get the prosecutor fired.
Well, and to be clear, the investigation was, so the guy's name is Mykola Zlochevsky. And so Zlochevsky is the oligarch who was in control of Burisma. He was under investigation domestically in Ukraine. And by the way, yes, the same Ukraine that has the war, that's been on fire, that seems like dominates all of the conversation over the last 6 years, when prior to the last 6 years, I don't even know the last time any of us even talked about Ukraine, right? Trump's impeachment, the war, the coup in 2014, suddenly Ukraine is like everywhere. He was under investigation for bribery inside Ukraine. Then he goes and hires Joe Biden's son, which we know publicly. He goes and hires Joe Biden's son. Joe Biden gets the prosecutor fired. Then he said he's bribing Joe Biden to stop the guy who was investigating him for bribery in the first place.
Okay.
So Zlochevsky is this post oligarch that's in control of Burisma.
Yes.
He's the guy that hired Hunter Biden.
Yes.
And then he bribed Joe Biden to stop to get a prosecutor fired to stop investigating his company.
Well, so and according to these reports, it seems as though the hiring of Hunter Biden coincided with, and again, based on the report, I interviewed Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has seen a copy of the report. She also gave me some more information stating that this confidential human source, this, or CHS, as they say in the parlance, is someone who was one of their most highly credible. This isn't just some walk-in, some random guy like, hey, I heard about Joe Biden and the, by the way, so there's a whole process. And I remember even when I was an intel agent, or intel officer, that there's this question of, well, how do you know that the source knows? Well, you're constantly vetting placement and access. You're constantly vetting credibility. You can go back and check, did a person actually go to this place where they said they were? Can you geo-track them, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a huge process that the FBI is running on this person to make sure that the reports that they're giving are credible, which, by the way, could also include recordings of wearing a wire, right? As we all know from movies, et cetera. So the idea is that this informant is giving that report to the FBI and saying that this hiring of Hunter, which we knew publicly, coincided with not one, but two $5 million payments, one to Hunter Biden and one to the big guy.
So these recordings, how many?
Through shell companies.
How many of the recordings were Biden, and how many were Joe and how many were Hunter?
2 Joe, 15 Hunter.
That makes sense to me because, Hunter's the one who's actually working in Burisma. He's there.
Right.
Probably having a lot of conversations. Check this out. They say the Examiner says sources previously told the Washington Examiner that the Burisma owner discussed an alleged bribe of $5 million to Joe Biden and of $5 million to Hunter Biden, according to the paid FBI informant, who said he heard this from Zlochevsky. The sources said Zlochevsky said he believed it would be difficult to unravel the alleged bribery scheme for at least 10 years because of the number of bank accounts involved. There's clever ways they can run this. They could do something like, look, I've got a company in this country that runs a couple subsidiaries that harvest wheat. We'll have those companies hire you as a consultant through your investment firm so it looks clean and on the level. That's how they play this game. Then you get like multiple bank accounts involved where money's being transferred all around. And then you've got to prove the transfers were specifically for the bribe.